Hi, good people. How are you doing? How is everything? Are you taking good care of yourself? I do hope you are. My name is Rose K. I want to welcome you to Intentional Living. This is a platform for you and I to learn, to laugh, and of course, to live life. On our previous video, we talked about some of the things that you can do to your children to make them sure of what they mean to you, to make sure that they feel loved. And of course, in the process, you are going to boost their confidence, their self esteem, and bring out the best version of themselves. So if you have not watched that, please go back to my playlist and you're going to find that video. I am sure it's going to be helpful for you. So today's video, we are going to do an extension of the same, but slightly different because we are talking about some of the chores that you can give your children just to enable them become responsible and also introduce them to life skills, because once you introduce the chores to the children, it's like you're introducing a life skill to them. And it doesn't really matter how young your child is, as from the ages of 3 all the way to the ages of 5, they must know some of the things that they must be able to do. And this is your full responsibility as a parent to introduce these chores for them. And of course, with minimum supervision, they'll uh, be able to do these things by themselves. Just it's just a matter of time, and with your patience, there's going to be able to do this by themselves. So if your child is about 3 years, there are some simple chores that you can help them learn. Some simple things in the house that they can be able to do, and with time, with a lot of patience, of course, and guidance, they are going to be able to do them alone and all by themselves. So one of the things that is very important to teach your child is self-care chores. Some things like, changing clothes, brushing their teeth, you know, wiping, a mess that they have done in the house, like spilling milk or spilling water. You don't have to do things every time, because once you let your child be able to do these things, they learn the skills so fast and they enjoy actually doing it. And with time, you find the child that can be able to do that alone. In this day and age, when people are able to employ, DMs in their homes, and they let the girls or the nannies do everything for the children, it becomes a problem, because even when the child is let alone, for example, the child is enrolling in a boarding school, they have a lot of hard time. They're not able to do even the simplest chores for themselves, just because the parent did not give them a chance to do that. So even if you have a DM in your house, allow your child to, you know, get indulge in these exercises that are done at home, these small chores that you can allocate for them. For example, when they have a change of clothes, let them know that the dirty clothes should be put in a dirty linen basket. It is simple, that is not hard, and a child would actually enjoy doing that. In fact, sometimes you can also introduce rewards for them. When a child is able to do something, reward him so that you encourage him or her to do even more chores according to the ages. So you have so many ways of introducing your child into these simple chores, but I think the best way to do it is you letting them come into your space when you're working in the kitchen, when you're working, in your dining area, and wherever you're working from the house. Invite them to be part of the work, and they're going to watch what you're doing, and as they're watching what you're doing, they are learning. And that way you are letting them know that whatever you're doing is good, and they can also be doing it. So if you have a child who is 3 years, all the way to 5 years. These are some of the things that you must teach them to do as early as now. And in fact, in the word of God in the book of Proverbs, chapter 22 and verse 6, it says that train a child in the ways to go, and even when they are older, they will not depart from them. So the time to start is now. So one of the chores that you can let your child do at home is, mopping spills. If there's something that is on the floor that needs to be mopped, introduce your child to use a mop or a rag, whatever you use at home. Introduce your child to it and let them know that whatever they are doing is a good thing. Clap for them, encourage them and let them do it next time. If your child can be able to do these things, it is good. Encourage them because it is by that, small move that they will become responsible for what is around them and what is given to them. The other thing that you can introduce your child in as early as 3 years is knowing how to use the toilet. I've been in a space with small children that really do not know how to use a washroom. You find that they mess themselves, and unless they have an adult, they're not able to do that. And in the same class of small children, and especially the class that have been of 3 to 5 years, you will find that there's some children that are so good at it. They know they how about to go, and there are some in that class that do not have an idea of how to go about it. It is your responsibility as a parent. Show your child how to do these things. Show your child how to use a pit latrine. It is sometimes you'll visit some places that do not have a toilet, and tell these children, tell them that this is the way to do it, because if you don't, then who do you expect to tell them? It is your responsibility, it is your duty, and you should take it as such. The other thing that you should teach these young children is how to blow their noses. There's a difference between a child who knows how to blow their nose and a child who totally doesn't have an idea. And these children who don't have an idea, they'll have to wait for an adult to do that small chore for them. And it just takes maybe 2 3 times of showing your child how to do it, and then they'll get to know how to do it. And they'll save a lot of time and a lot of embarrassment, because you took the initiative to show your child how to do these things. There are things that people actually assume, but they are as important as showing them how to read and write. Okay, so the other thing that you need to show your child, which is very important, is how to talk to an adult. you know some children, you'll mistake them for being mannerless, but it is because they are not shown how to do these things. You need to tell your child, and you need to show your child on how to speak to an adult, using the right words to communicate, because they'll be mistaken for an ill-mannered child, but the kid is innocent. It was your role as a parent to tell them, to teach them. And I think it is very true that a child will observe what you do and do it elsewhere. So if you're rude in the house, if you are talking vulgar language, if the best language is to shout at each other, that is what a child learns. So you have to take the initiative and teach your child how to do these things, because it is as important as taking them to school. If you have a 5-year-old child, by now their brain is developing, and there are things that they can be able to do which a 2-year-old cannot do. Of course, a 3-year-old cannot do some things, like getting to know one parent's phone number, just in case they need there's need of the parent's number. You need to train your child to get to know Your cell phone number, it is important. Some things happen, the child can get lost, they can, become displaced, and all they need to have is their parents number offhand. It will go a long way in helping them. Don't think that your child is too young to get these things. You need to equip your child with that. And you need also to let them know which estate you reside, and the name, the nearest, city, or the nearest, town, or center that they can identify with. For example, if you live in Thika, you can talk about, Kivulini, and the people will have a rough idea where the child is coming from, just in case they get lost. Your child at 5 years old must be able to prepare, those easy to make snacks, like, a toast. It is good to teach your child to do that, because they don't have to wait for somebody else to come and feed them. They can do that. They can, you need to teach your child how to warm milk, even if it takes, you use a microwave. A 5-year old can do that. All you need to do is make the microwave easy to reach, and then put milk where they can reach it, and it that way your child is able to feed themselves. They don't have to wait for someone to come and feed them. You can actually introduce that to them, and they are able to do that with time, and that is a plus for every parent. A 5-year old is supposed to know how to make the bed. It may not be done perfectly, but he needs to have a rough idea on how the bread that you have to, how a bed is spread. Okay, teach your child. I mean, it doesn't take a lot of effort to do that. And once you actually equip your child with these skills, they never ever forget them. They never ever forget them, and wherever they are, even when you send them for a sleepover at someone's place, it's so interesting to see a small child doing these chores. It tells a lot, and it tells how much a child is involved in their lives. Okay, the other thing that a 5-year old should do and must know how to do is do some things like match their socks. It is, it looks like it's such a small chore, but at the same time, as you're teaching your child to match the uniform, to match the socks, to match the clothes that they need to wear as incomplete, you also exercising their IQ, the intelligent content of the child. It is a way of exercising the intelligence, because when you tell your child to work with colors, that this color must go with this color, this these stripes must go with these stripes, you're practicing their intelligence, which is a very good thing. A 5-year old must have a rough idea on how you brush your shoes. If they are attending school, then of course they're using maybe polished shoes. You should introduce them to brushing their shoes. They may not do it very well, but they have a rough idea. They know how it is done. Unlike a child who has never experienced that, because maybe the parents are not for it, if your child is introduced to these things, it is well, it is good, and of course it makes the whole difference. There's a lot of chores that you can introduce to child according to age, and I'm just encouraging you as a parent, as a guardian, as an adult who has a child. It is good to let them know some of these simple chores that they must do, they must learn how to do, because life has a lot of faces, and you must allow your child to go to the levels of life comfortably, easily, without having to be dependent on somebody else. I hope this video is helpful to you. If it is helpful, please feel free to share it with someone who may want to be hearing this, somebody who will be encouraged by these words. We all need this. We all need these reminders every so often, because all of us sometimes stray from what we are supposed to be doing. So every one of us needs this reminder. And you have not subscribed to this channel, please feel free to touch that button. I will highly appreciate. When a child comes of age, and I'm talking about 5 years, and you know you have taken the initiative to show him the ways of life. It makes a whole lot of difference from a child who has not been taught these things. And some parents are not for it, and this is not to force you to do something that you've not wanted to do. I'm just giving you an advice on how to equip these children, to let you know that it's never too early to teach them something. And when you show them the way, I am telling you for sure, they never deviate from them. For we were little for our parents who taught us how to clean clothes, to cook, to do all the chores that we have been taught by our parents. Where would we be? What would we be doing? Because it passes in generations, and we are also supposed to pass it to the other generation. That is our role, and that is what it has to be done. That is what has to go on. And until we do that, I'm telling you, there's a generation that we are going to lose, because they have no idea of how things are done. They have no idea. They don't know how to cook food. They don't know how to keep themselves together, because maybe a mistake was done there before by somebody who was supposed to guide them, and they did not do their work. So before it gets to time of regret, and asking yourself questions and feeling that it is too late to start doing that, do it now. If your child is about 3 years, it's about time you start introducing them to these small chores, and with time, you're going to know the art of doing it and actually perfect it. And there's no problem with your child being able to handle themselves. There is no problem with that. The problem is when a child is big enough and they are not able to stay together. They are not able to take care of themselves. Unless an adult does that, they're not able to do that. I think I'll choose, letting my child know everything than having him, stay there and, let me do everything for them, or let a nanny do everything for them, or rather, let their father do everything for them. For me, I would rather teach them these things as early as now, and if they can excel in them, the better, because I know I'll be equipping my child, to become the best version of himself, and also prepare him for the future that is coming so fast. That is it for now. I hope to meet you up soon in this platform. We have a lot in store for you. So stay tuned. It's bye bye from me.